Off to a pretty bad start this morning. It's been just about 2 hours and nothing but losses. This is going to take a lot longer than I thought to get good at this. What is up, guys? Awful week. So today is Friday, May 1st, the end of my third week in the simulator, and it is not going good at all. I learned a lot this week, though, granted my huge loss, but why wait? Let's get right to it. 8.3% down. So I was up 2.4% last week, completely flipped that, way down this week, but granted, I was trying a lot of new things and stepping out of my bounds, trying to dabble with some new, unfamiliar techniques that I know aren't proven, but, just trying to base off of my prior knowledge. Nothing worked. I didn't even get lucky once. Let's just get right into it and show you some trades I made. So here are some trades from today. Total $45, thumb down. I called it early. I needed to wrap my head around this and figure out what I'm doing wrong. But let's start with the first trade I made today, which is MTP. This I did right off the opening bell. And you can see, right when the market opened, I went in for I think 100 shares. It wasn't much, but quickly rose up. So I sold all within minutes. That got me $15. But I was trying to prove the point. Can I predict the first few minute jump of the stock? I don't think I can do this accurately more than half the time. So this might be a technique I get rid of later on, but. Let's go to CAPR. This was still early in the morning. I was trying to do a pullback on the 1 minute. This is the 5 minute chart, but completely backfired and just, I was testing something here. I didn't have any plan going into this, so I was testing the waters with this one. It didn't work. GDX. This was also a pullback. This is the one where, so this week I made a lot of discoveries, but I'll get into the other things later. But my discovery through this terrible week was I noticed a lot of high momentum stocks when they're moving. There's a significance when this yellow line is my 9 EMA, so my 9 exponential moving average. When that crosses the VWAP, I noticed I've seen a continuation in trend and a spike of volume occur right after. So that's what I try to tackle here, as well as a little pullback. So you kind of mix them. The more techniques or indicators you can combine, the better your chances. That's kind of how this works. I'm not good at it, so don't listen to me just yet. But I'm onto something with this because in other stocks you see it happen often. So this one was a fail, but this guy, it continued momentum and just kept going. But that's what I tried here. So. We'll go on to the next one, which is AR. AR was, also having this little spike. The 9 EMA across the VWAP failed again. So I'll get into why I don't think it's working on these stocks is because these were ones that were mentioned in the chat, and there were some issues in the chat room while the scanners were down the past 2 days, and it was just giving me a hard time because a lot of the stocks that I traded well I found from the scanners. But moving on to W, I was kind of doing an ABCD where you have A, B, higher lows, C, and then hopefully you rock it up. But completely just flipped on me. And what I realized is if I do the opposite of what I plan, I'll probably do a lot better. So that's one thing I learned about me this week. But anyways, aside from this, let me show you the percentages from each week. Or each day of the week. So this is my 3 weeks in so far. I got lucky my first 2 Mondays and then just hit the fan. So yeah, a total of 8.3% down. I kind of drew my candle or my arrows relative, so 8.3 is fat, 2.4, 4.5 is kind of fat. Not good. Started off bad, worse, okay, then worse. So, not a good week. Aside from those, the physical numbers and, my techniques, I learned a lot, psychologically. I learned a lot about trading. So, going through, my little notes here, I I tried a lot of new techniques that weren't proven. I was just experimenting and I was wrong a lot of the time, but that's how you learn. Does this technique work? Is there something there? So next week I'm going to take my techniques a step further by doing some backtracking and testing out some of these, techniques, like this discovery I made with the 9 EMA and the VWAP when they cross, but only between a certain time and only when momentum is doing the right thing and when price action's moved in a certain way. So I'm going to try to conclude a technique and test it out this next week. What I learned, like physically about trading is that sleep matters. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I had awful sleep. I was not sleeping right. I couldn't fall asleep easily, and so I woke up just feeling, like, when is this over so I can take a nap? And that really affected my trading, physically. And I know I read about it in this book, how like this is more this one right here. So day trading is just a huge mind game, and it's physical too. Like if you're not physically healthy, it's going to affect you. And I experienced that firsthand. The first 3 days were just awful because of my lack of sleep. And the second 2 days were awful because the scanners that I used the week before to find my good trades were down. So I used the scanners in the Investors Underground group chat, and they weren't working. So my luck was, bad that week. 2 days because of that, 3 days because of sleep. I realized that the Investors Underground group chat, though helpful, there's a lot of traders going both ways, long biased, short biased, but the majority of that chat and the experts in that group are short biased, and by that I mean they prefer to trade stocks to the short side. So I don't really have those desires or techniques yet. I'm sure everybody has this. The new trader's like, oh, green is the best, you want to go long. Well, I did some reading, and the life cycle of a seasoned trader starts as like beginner, only do long, mediocre, tries some shorts, and like experienced, the majority is like shorts. Like they'll do longs, but a lot of them do shorts. It made sense that after a while you can convert from being long biased to doing stocks that go up versus short biased. But I think a lot of that comes with time and realizing that, the long gains occur over a longer period of time, and then shorts just, man, they can flush so quick. Like you think a stock can rise up quick, it can drop even quicker. That is a huge thing I noticed. So getting some advice from the top-notch guys on long stocks, like they can help, but they can't walk you through their beliefs because they're focused on finding the short ones. It's something to work around, but there are people in the chat that do have a short or a long preference and will help you out as well. So that's always good, having the community as well. Some things that I did do this week, early in the week, even when I was tired, was I did everything just right on the setups that were working in the week prior, but they just didn't work out. You could do everything right and place your buys and your stops perfectly, and the setup just doesn't work out. So you could have a proven setup, works this % of the time, but you're on a losing streak with it. So I experienced that in my third week. I thought to myself, I did all these steps just right to the T, textbook definition, and it just didn't work out. I was unlucky. You win some, you lose some. I definitely lost some. That was a good realization I had to have. It kind of brings reality to it. Like, yes, these work on a statistical basis. Like on average, they'll work this much of the time, and I experienced that smaller percentage of the time in 1 week, like the whole week. Enough of talking about this week. What I want to do now is focus on what I'm going to do next week. What I learned from this week is that I need to prepare myself better physically. So next week, I'm going to plan on sleeping a little earlier. We're during the coronavirus lockdown, so I have no excuse not to be in bed early. I mean, I'm home all day. So if I can get an extra hour of sleep, or like at least an extra hour to manage to get to sleep, because that was my issue, I think that'll help me a lot waking up with, a fresh mentality. Something I used to do a lot the last week was, it's going to sound weird, but I would like stretch in the morning. Like I'd wake up, get my oatmeal and tea, and come up here and get on the computer, set everything up, find the stocks I think I'm going to trade, and then I would stretch. Like I would just go out there, and I have a back roller. It helps. Anything to just get comfortable, because you're going to be in a chair for hours. I felt that was helping me a lot. I'm going to make it something mandatory for next week, like 5 minutes. Just you have to stretch, get loose, because you're going to be sitting all day. It's going to hurt your back. I mean, at least for me, I'm tall for this chair. I know that it hurts after a while, so I'm going to make it mandatory to stretch. So that takes care of most of the physical things for next week, but some mental things. I'm going to write out a better plan, and I'm going to try next week only trading the exact setups and the plan I come up with. So I'll have a whole week of testing on this new 9 EMA VWAP test or strategy that I'm trying to develop. That'll tell me, for a fact that yes, this plan has potential, or no, it does not. I use this week basically just to test out new things, and do I see potential in jumping in at these certain times when I see certain things happening? And I realized I don't. I need a better plan. That's my change for next week in week 4. Hopefully we can get that 8.3% down to an 8.3% up. What does every professional team do? Like the NBA, the NFL, the NHL. What do they all do after their games? They watch their tape. They see how they performed in the game to see what they did wrong and what they did right. That's the same thing I'm doing here. I know a lot of people mention like you have to view your stats. You have to know your trading techniques and know yourself on a percentage basis. Like I'm getting this right this percent of the time, or I'm getting this technique wrong that percent of the time. So that's what I'm doing here. I set up a account with stocktrader.com. So it's a trade journal. You'll enter in all your trades manually, and you can give you some stats. Real quick, there is something I want to mention that I'm doing this week. I'm actually putting all my trades into a trade journal. It's very good to do. I read about it everywhere. You should be watching your stats, and you should know your trading strategy to the percentage. Like this percentage of the time this technique works, and this time I fail. My average profit on this trade technique is this, and whatnot. So I'm working on getting that all set up, and I'll make another video showing my trade journal, kind of give you the rundown on what it is, how it works, and how I'm going to use it, because I'm still learning. I'm learning as I go. I'm trying to show you guys how I'm learning and prevent these mistakes that you can make in the future. That is something to look forward to, but other than that, week 3, down a lot, learned a lot, prepping for week 4. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Please, 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 thumbs up on this video. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and also subscribe. Stay tuned, because I will be posting more, and I will be, walking you through, did this work? Because who knows? Maybe you could do this one day, and you could be in my position doing what I'm doing, and this will really help you out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one, and I will see you next week with some profits. I'm Dylon Da Silva. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you liked it. Give this video a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe to stay up to date on all new content every week. You guys have a good one.